to read is like Nate Dogg. You know it's a hit when he spit.
Smoke your name or smoking what you do.
It's not the same old anymore. It's something fresh and something new.
People in general, they hate rich kids.
Let's get unfiltered.
Welcome to Unfiltered, our new day smoke. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. I am your host, Carl Reed.
And I'm Smoke Dixon.
In today's episode of Unfiltered, we got a great show for you today. College football preseason All-American team takeaways, how the transfer portal has ruined college football camp competition, and smoke why the transfer portal creates a tortuous path ahead for college football players. They better learn why they out there to protect their neck.
I'm reading Smoke Dixon, I'm spitting facts. Now let's hit some heated topics, just in time for group chat.
Everybody who watches the show, you know what time it is. Smoke and I will take you into our group chat. The things that we go back and forth about all week in the world of college football when we're talking. And our first topic today will be college football preseason All-American team takeaways, surprises, and snubs. Smoke, I'm going to start off here. When I saw the team, the first team and the second team, I thought the biggest surprise to me was Oregon quarterback Dillon Gabriel being second team quarterback. That was my biggest surprise. And not that he wasn't productive. He's been very productive at Central Florida, very productive at Oklahoma, even though it seems at the end they decided to go with the younger guy, Darnold, going into this season. I think he's going to be very productive at Oregon. But you got guys like Quinn Ewers, who led Texas to the playoffs. You got guys like Shedeur Sanders, who's considered one of the top quarterbacks available in the draft. You got Cam Ward at the University of Miami. Everybody's talking about him. You have Jackson Dart. It's a ton of really good quarterbacks out there that I probably would have made the argument for second team after Carson Beck. That was a big surprise to me that they put Gabriel at the second team quarterback.
This might have been like a Nike Foundation coming up with this, Carl. Because that guy's not on the top 10 for most guys' list. So how is he coming in at number 2? But listen, that's yours. Let me get mine in real quick. My surprise. I'm going to start it off with center that transferred from Washington. Come on, Carl.
Yes, hating on the center.
Listen, I told you already. Centers aren't supposed to be on this list. But I'm going to start it off. This is my surprise. Let me just get mine off.
Go ahead.
Parker Brailsford. Transferred from Washington. Now he's at my alma mater, University of Alabama. Center. Now, here's the thing about my young man. Now, here's my thing on my man right now, Carl. He's one of the offensive centers that can operate in space. Right? He's firm. He's smart. He's strong. But, Carl, again, why are we still going with positions on All-American teams? Why can't we just go with the top 5 offensive players? Mm-hmm. If it's a tackle, guard, even if it's a center, and that'll be a surprise to me because I tell you, what centers do, all they do is throw the ball between their legs and beg for help.
Don't do that.
At the end of the day, he is the 4th best offensive lineman on this team behind, no particular order, Tyler Booker,
Pro.
Jaden Roberts,
Pro.
Caden Proctor.
Pro.
How are you now on All-American list? And two of the four that I just mentioned aren't on here.
He's going to be a pro also.
He's going to be a pro. Not as fast as those guys. But hey, listen, I digress. I'm going to let you get to yours.
You got to stop hating on the center. But in your defense, when you talk about the 5 best offensive linemen, my biggest snub on the All-American team is Minnesota, University of Minnesota, left tackle Ariante Urshary. This is a large man, 6'6", 330 pounds. I believe from watching tape, he might be the most devastating run blocker in the country. A late bloomer because did not play football smoke until he was a junior in high school. Coach Brian Callahan, the offensive line coach at the University of Minnesota, does a great job finding gems like him and developing him. When you think about the old Bill Parcells planet theory, that there are only so many large human beings in the world and that big people beat up little people, watch this guy's tape. He is beating guys up one of the most devastating run blockers, trending as a possible first-round pick somewhere between 20 and 32. This is a big-time offensive lineman. He should have been on the All-American team.
I like where you went with that. Big offensive lineman, big body that can operate in space but knock guys back. Now, here we go. 6'6", 330, only allowed 2 sacks in 847 offensive snaps. Powerful. Now, when he gets people moving, Carl, you know how big guys usually lay up off a guy? Yeah. Listen, Carl, he's trying to put them into the ground. Big, nasty, that's what they do at Minnesota. And that's what they do. But here, listen, I'm going to tell you. You got your offensive line snub, I got my defensive tackle snub. Walter Nolan. This guy was one of the most coveted players in the portal. He can do it in the run game and as a pass rusher. Dominates in both worlds. When you see this guy line up, Carl, a couple of things you don't want to do. Right here, try to get cut, get up off the ground, redirect, make a tackle. Right there, most guys are supposed to be on the ground. The thing that I love about him, you see effort, want to, desire, and he's a powerful man in small, confined space. When you talk to Warren Sapp, one of the best defensive line coaches out there, and tutorers of young defensive 3 techniques, one thing that this guy can do, he starts out big, gets skinny, affects the quarterback, affects the running back. He's a pro, period. So him not being on this list, shame on them, but not shame on us.
Walter Nolan is as good as it gets when you're talking about the 3 technique, and nobody did not want him when he came into the transfer portal and out of high school. Could have went to any school in the country through 2 different recruiting cycles. 37 tackles, 17 assisted, 8.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks as a true freshman. This guy is going to solidify the middle of the Ole Miss defense. This is a guy that I agree with you here, Smoke. This was a major, major snub.
Carl, listen, speaking of one of the top transfer portal guys, we're going to get right into our second topic in our daggone group chat. How the transfer portal ruined the competition during camps. Carl, you being a head coach, speak on this for me, please.
Well, the big thing when I look at it, there's no need for guys to compete anymore. You got multiple guys right now in training camp in battles that they could really be trying to solidify themselves with playing time, and guys are already looking for a way out. Guys are already had a mindset, if I don't start, I can just opt out. You're going to have hundreds of guys who are going to be opting out no less than 4 weeks into the season because they got 4 games before they can redshirt, and they're going to be looking the next season, and they're going to start positioning themselves on where they're going to go in the fall. Smoke, you used to have to compete. If there was a guy that was better than you, ahead of you, you had to figure out a way to get reps, beat them out, change positions, get in shape. You had to be able to do something to play your way onto the football field. But now we don't have that. You don't hear about major training camp battles anymore at certain positions because you know the number 1 guy is going to start. The number 2 guy, you're going to try to keep him happy, but he's ultimately going to leave. And that's the way that a lot of this is going now. It has killed competition at the collegiate level in terms of building any type of depth. So it's going to be really hard for coaches to continue to manage this year after year.
Well, Carl, I can only give you my story. When I first came into college as a true freshman, 190-pound kid out of Silver Spring, Maryland. We didn't have fall, we didn't have spring ball and none of that. So I was really underdeveloped in terms of my football acumen, of understanding coverages, how to play off and press. All I knew was just to cover a guy in front. So for me, 2-a-days, true 2-a-days, and we had 3-a-days at Bama with Coach Dubose, taught me a lot. I started at maybe the 5th string, 6th string guy and worked my way up. Not one time did I ever think about leaving due to the fact that there was competition in front of me. But this one day, Carl, I had a bad practice. Didn't tackle Dustin McClintock in the flat. Went upstairs, I was all in my feelings. Went right up to Coach Dubose's office, and all intent was I was going my way to transfer, Carl. So went up to Coach Dubose, said, Coach Dubose, listen here, I'm out of here. He said, cool, you're out of here? Call your dad. Hung my hand over that phone for 5 seconds, thought about my dad. He said, absolutely not. Because he taught me how to compete. He taught me that nothing was going to be given to me, and if you run from this today, you're going to run for it forever. So my second question going into this, who's to blame for these young kids going into it?
I think it's a lot to blame. I think that you have high school coaches are to blame. I think parents are to blame. I think college coaches are to blame because their greed and their unflexibleness is the reason that we have the current system they're in and the lawsuits that players had to bring to be able to get out of some of the bad situations that were out there. So I think that you could place blame a bunch of places. You could place it on the parent, the high school coach, the college coach. Everybody has had a little bit going into this situation to get it the way that it is today.
Well, I'm going to give you two coaches that will always say that they compete at the highest level, but they also ran a little bit from it too. The first name we'll give you is Lincoln Riley. I know you're going to look at me and say, oh, nah, smoke it. At one point, they knew that Oklahoma was going to go into the SEC. What did he do? He went out west just to go out to that pack, whatever it is now. But you know what's happening, Carl? They got to go in the Big Ten, and he's going to have to compete again. The greatest coach of our generation, Nick Saban, he's going to say, well, the transfer portal is ruining football, but like he's always taught his guys, adapt and overcome, fight through battles. He also took the high road and retired. So we blame the young kids right now for them not knowing how to compete, not having the desire to become better. But we see the coaches and the adults in the world also taking their ball and going home as well, too.
You know, Smoke, my thing on that is we don't know for sure if Lincoln Riley left because Oklahoma was going into the SEC. USC is a premium job with a premium recruiting base in the state of California. Oklahoma doesn't have the same type of premium recruiting base. So I'm not going to put that jacket on him and say that Nick Saban is 70 years old. It's time. Nothing good lasts forever. I know all the people in Roll Tide Island are upset that the old ball coach didn't do it forever. But come on, man, knock it off, cut it out.
Let's keep it pushing, Carl.
Listen, topic number 3 in the group chat, and it's an easy transition into this. Why the transfer portal is creating such a tortuous path for athletes. Let's look at this full screen right here. We got the situation that happened with the running back out of Arkansas, Rodney Hill. Arkansas running back Rodney Hill, he blames a bad agent for leaving Florida State. Smoke, when you saw this tweet and read this story like I did, what were your thoughts on this? He put the blame on the agent. Give me your thoughts.
Well, Reed, at the general manager position at the University of Maryland, I had to sit in a lot of parents and so-called agents walking into.
I want you to stop 1 second.
Go ahead.
Because you said so-called. What do you mean by so-called?
Well, I'm going to give the so-called experts. Mm-hmm. Uncles, cousins, AAU coaches, 7-on-7 coaches, grassroots coaches. Not one time did I have a guy walk into that room with an NFLPA agent, and I don't even know if any of them graduated from college. But what I understood and what I got from that was, here are the people that want to get more money than the players. The parents. The guy that was walking in saying what percentage he wanted from that. The parents' best friend that wanted to get a new bag and a new car and get access into whatever facility, whatever building. I even had a father that wanted to represent his son, saying that what type of attire he wanted to wear to every single game, what kind of shoes he wanted. That was a part of it. So at the end of the day, when you have these young kids that are trying to make decisions to help themselves out later on in life, you have parents that truly only care, and even family members, friends that call themselves agents or have the kids' best interest, making these decisions without them even being a part of it. My only thing that I always just ask the parents, and even the kid, I would love to hear the player tell me what they want and what they want out of this deal. Mm-hmm. Very rarely did we hear the player say, you know what, I want $330,000, and you can break it up into 3 payment increments. But you know who I did hear? I heard mom saying, hey, what that bag gonna look like? I heard an NIL agent in the corner saying, hey, listen, I want to get $50,000 out of that. Well, you can get $50,000 out of what that deal is. But I've known you've been through a lot of these situations. You sat in with agents. You've spoken to agents. You've been through it where you had your own players that had to go through this. And I know a lot of people call on you for advice. Why is it tearing the system up so bad that we have these parents and these kids and so-called agents going through people's offices, sitting down, begging for money and not understanding the structure of how a deal should be worked out?
I had a guy that I know that I'm really good friends with, Smoke. One time he told me that the money that is available to people in football can turn good dudes into bad people, and money changes everything. Money makes your 7-on-7 coach, your high school coach, your trainer, your parents, your cousins, your uncle, whoever feels like they helped you at all in this position. Everybody wants a piece of this. I'm going to give the players some advice here. I want you to really tune in and listen to what I'm about to tell you. If you have a deal from a collective, every team at the major Division I level has a set salary cap of money that they're going to give you per position out of their collective. And if you're a big-time prospect, that money could increase, but you should not be paying anybody any money out of your collective. You should only be paying on legitimate marketing deals that they get you off the field. Second thing, get a respectable agent. What's a respectable agent? Somebody who is certified by the NFLPA, because they had to go through a process of certification. If they're not certified by the NFLPA, do they work at an agency that has multiple agents that are certified by the NFLPA? So they have the resources to help you and they can get you accurate information. Do they have a proven track record of success? Because what you're allowing to happen a lot of times is people are pulling on your emotions. You should be getting more money. You should be getting more playing time. Respectable agents who are already made it, they don't need your little collective money. They don't need a piece of some of these smaller deals you're getting. I think baseball has the best model because the MLB agents have been allowed for a long time to be advisors for high school players, and I think you should look to a similar model. There are some agents that have ruined guys' college careers already, that have ruined their spaces on teams, on rosters, sending out text messages, manipulating the process, and you have to be really careful. I have deals that players have sent me. I have contracts in my inbox where agents are charging 40, 50, 60% of deals that you're signing away your name, image, and likeness for 4 years, and then you go into the NFL. You got to see some of these contracts guys are signing. You got to do a better job taking care of yourself and handling your business. And if the major agencies aren't calling you, then you might not even need an agent at that point. Keep focusing on being a better football player, Smoke.
Well, Reed, I just got off the phone with a couple of agencies, big-time ones, the ones that matter, the ones that got probably 3 letters in front of their names. And they'll tell you from a 5-star, if they're working the 5-star, they will take 1 to 3%. Anybody else is 5. Anyone that's taking 20% of your money away from you, that's called a marketing deal. And if they're not setting a market or locating work outside of football for you, they stealing big time from you and just move on. But at the end of the day, all I know, Reed, is everyone's getting paid except the players on the football field.
I'm going to say one last thing, Smoke, because this was a very unpopular thing, but I used to say this to my team when I was a high school coach. If you're going to listen to your parents about your football business, you need to make sure that they understand the business of football, because most parents don't, and that's where the problems typically start. Smoke, is flag on the play time where we got to talk about a couple of the things that don't sit right with us in the game of football. Who are you throwing a flag on today?
Well, I'm throwing the flag on the fact that we don't truly have 2-a-day practices anymore. And you're laughing because you're one of the guys that probably hated practicing. I can see it already. If you're laughing, you hate to practice. But I love to practice because practice is the only way that I got better, through reps. And when you have 2-a-day practices, if you have 22 days of it, you double times that, that's 44, correct? Mm-hmm. So now you are having the opportunity to truly go out there and compete for a position. The old model is a lot of guys didn't come into school early, weren't early enrollees. Mm-hmm. So the 2-a-day practices allowed you to work your way up that depth chart, to get developed in those 44 practices to get calloused, to get worn down, to understand what a true college practice felt like. Now they have the 1-2-1 model where the second practice of the two-a-days is a walkthrough. Basically mental, vicarious reps for the most part. I know the NCAA is saying that they're protecting the player's health, but you aren't. Because in a practice setting, you're a coach, you knew exactly what speed that you wanted to practice at. You had thud, walk through, and then you had full tackle to the ground. I can control that in practice. But when you add the college playoffs into it, there's going to be an 18-year-old that probably plays 18 games, 16 to 18 games this year. Are you really protecting the player? When you're out there allowing them to go through full contact, tackle, knock down to the ground games? Or are you protecting them by teaching them how to practice, how to tackle, how to block, and how to properly protect themselves within those practices? And I know that you're an old coach. I know you hated practicing the two-a-days, but I know you had to get something out of it when you were a coach to prepare your young team how to play and how to win games.
Well, as a player and a coach, going back to high school and college, two-a-days were rough, but they were necessary. What two-a-days did was inform your team in your locker room and let you know who was serious about playing football and the sacrifices you made. Now, we have to acknowledge, Smoke, that during our era, there were some deaths and there were some things that led to the reduction of two-a-days. However, there could have been some more safety measures implemented because we did expand seasons. We just didn't expand them in the NFL and collegiately. We also expanded them at the high school level. It's more games now to win a state championship than it was 10 years ago. They've expanded classes. They've done everything to monetize the game. When you put football players in two-a-days, when that process is over, you get football players, not guys that want to take pictures and put on helmets. So for the old guys like us, we love it. But the guys that are playing football now, it's something they've never experienced it. And Smoke, guess what? They don't want to. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Please, 24/7 YouTube page every Tuesday and Thursday, Unfiltered at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I am Carl Reed for Smoke Dixon. You have just been Unfiltered.